The movie begins in 1945, where a learned nurse named Hannah goes to see a movie with her friend. In the ending scene, a list of American soldiers who survived the war is displayed on the screen. Imagine their countrymen paying tribute to their soldiers on the movie screen. Isn't it? Unable to bear this, as her husband, also a soldier, had died during the war. Unable to control herself, she storms out of the movie theater. Her friend, Dottie, tries to comfort Hannah, but she can't forget her husband. Dottie suggests that it's Christmas time and they should go to the gazebos. They meet a man named Gregor. Gregor tells Hannah that she takes care of everyone, but who will take care of him? She should forget her past and move on, as living alone is difficult. He also asks her if she'll come caroling later. Caroling means singing songs and enjoying the festivities during Christmas. Meanwhile, Dottie puts her head in the Christmas star to try to make Hannah laugh. However, Hannah is deeply saddened. The next day, Hannah goes to the hospital, where she meets her colleague Julia. Julia tells Hannah that she's engaged. Julia is engaged to a soldier named Frank, who was receiving treatment at the same facility. Hannah is very happy for Julia. Julia introduces Hannah to Frank, and seeing their happiness, she takes a photo of them. Frank begins talking about the war and how his friends died because of it. Hearing this, Hannah begins to remember her husband and leaves with a sad face. Julia, understanding this, goes to Hannah and apologizes. In return, Hannah says that it's okay, but she's happy for both of them. Hannah then goes to a patient named Toby, a little boy. She begins telling him stories. She also tells Toby that a comet is about to pass near their Earth and that this comet passes by their Earth only once every 70 years. Toby can't sleep at night, so Hannah reads him stories. Just then, Dottie arrives and Hannah forgets her camera with Toby and goes with Dottie to visit other patients. Later, Dottie and Hannah plan to sing carols for Christmas. However, Hannah is worried about Toby. She calls Toby's orphanage to ask them to take him so he can enjoy Christmas. But for some reason, the call doesn't go through. So, she goes back to her colleagues and they sing carols together. Hannah's shift ends and she heads home. Just then, a dog barks in front of her house. When she opens the door, she finds a pet dog that had been lost. She then finds the dog's owner's address using the dog tag. She then leaves the dog with the van and decides to leave. The family tells Hannah to wait and go home the next morning because it's snowing heavily outside. However, Hannah refuses to stop and drives off. The snow has fallen so heavily that Hannah can't see clearly, and she crashes her car on the side of the road. She tries to pull herself out of the snow, but is unable to do so. She spots a shirt nearby and decides to stay there to protect herself from the cold. Then, we see a comet in the sky, which passes by Earth only once every 70 years. When Hannah goes inside the shed, it shakes violently. This causes Hannah to hit her head and fall unconscious. The next morning, when Hannah wakes up, she finds that it's morning and the storm outside has subsided. She takes her bag and goes out the window wearing a shirt, as the shed door was locked from the outside. Upon exiting, she sees people dressed in new clothes and fashions. Everyone has a phone in their hand, busy with it. Seeing Hannah's distressed face, the people there ask her if she's okay, but Hannah is at a loss as to what's happening to her. A boy standing nearby informs the police about Hannah's strange behavior. A short distance away, two police officers are sitting in their patrol car, and they hear Hannah's whereabouts. There, Hannah sees the same dog she saw last night. When she meets the dog's owner, she discovers that the dog is actually blind, and the dog is a different dog. Police officers arrive and take her to a hospital in Posse. The doctor confirms that Hannah is perfectly fine. The officers ask for Hannah's address, but Hannah appears terrified and tells them about things that don't exist in this timeline. This makes the police officers suspicious of her. The police officers suspect Hannah may be suffering from amnesia, which is why she doesn't remember anything. A police officer present there, named Jake, tells his chief that he will handle the case and find out about Hannah. If Hannah is telling the truth, he will help her, but if she turns out to be a fraud, he will bring her to the police station. Jake then brings Hannah to his home, where he lived with his parents. Jake also had a sister named Louise. He sees Morgan's house across from Jake's. Hannah says that the house across from Morgan's is where she often bought milk. Jake, in turn, says that the property used to belong to a company called Smith Farms. His parents later bought the property. Jake, still suspicious of Hannah, disbelieves her. The two then go inside Jake's house, where they see the same boy who informed the police about Hannah. This boy's name was George. George had told his mother about this. Therefore, George's mother becomes suspicious of Hannah. She thinks Hannah might be a thief who sweet-talks people into their homes, then steals and runs away when she finds an opportunity. When Hannah leaves, Jake's family begins to discuss Hannah's story. Louise also comments on Hannah's strange clothing and finds her a bit cunning. Louise's daughter, Gwen, was also there, listening in. Hannah is taken to the guest room to rest, tired from the morning. A little while later, Jake's mother goes upstairs to check on Hannah, but Hannah is gone and informs her family members. Meanwhile, Hannah finds her house, but a shop has opened in the same place where she used to live. Hannah is at a loss as to where she is or what is happening to her. The shop owner, noticing Hannah's strange behavior, informs the police. Jake arrives to pick her up, but Hannah has already left. Hannah then goes to her hospital, but a library has opened there. She asks a girl about her hospital. The girl explains that there was no hospital there. This library has existed here for ages, she says. Just then, Jake arrives. Hannah tells Jake that she couldn't sleep, so she set out to find her home. Now, a shop has opened there. She's confused about what's happening to her. Everything around her seems different. Jack, meanwhile, doesn't know whether to trust Hannah. When Jack finds out about the farm across from her house where milk was sold, Hannah's words were true. The next day, while Jack is chopping wood, Lewis's friend, Sarah, arrives. Sarah explains that their chief police officer thinks Jack won't be able to handle the case, so it's best for him to hand it over to his superiors. Jake, in turn, says that Hannah isn't going to run away. He's just having some trouble figuring things out. Sarah explains that Jake is running out of time and needs to prove that Hannah is actually from 1945. Jake's family tells Hannah to change her clothes, as she's been wearing the same dress for so long. Hannah then comes out wearing modern clothes and starts chatting with Gwen, who is using the internet on her laptop. Hannah is shocked by this, having never seen such technology before. In the next scene, Jake and Sarah are having dinner at a restaurant, and Sarah begins to talk to Jake about Hannah, saying that she's deceiving everyone with the idea of time travel, and that when the time comes, she'll betray everyone and run away. However, an old man sitting there listens in. In the next scene, Jake goes to the shed from where Hannah time traveled to find out about Hannah. He finds a bag containing some belongings. He takes the bag to the police station and checks the contents. Just then, Sarah arrives and tells Jake that Hannah just needed a place to live, and she's got it. Jake also finds a small bottle of Paris perfume in the purse, which wasn't from this timeline. Meanwhile, at Jake's house, Hannah and Gwen are decorating their house together. As night falls, Louise tells Gwen to go to sleep. Gwen requests Hannah to tell her a story. While talking, Hannah learns from Gwen that there's a science fair owner named Cook in their area. He bought Hannah's house and built a library there. Cook was actually interested in topics like time travel. At the station, Jake gathers information about the perfume bottle. He discovers that the perfume is actually from 1945 and that manufacturing ceased after 1960. Seeing this, Jake gradually begins to believe Hannah's words. Later, we see Mr. Cook wandering around the library, listening to a radio broadcast discussing the comet. Meanwhile, George's mother becomes angry with George for being engrossed in his phone all day and night. She asks him to go out with her. Later, Louis, George, and his mother go to an antique store and ask the owner if the woman had been there and bought any antiques. The man replies no. He was doing all this because he suspected Hannah. At Jake's house, Hannah is telling Gwen that in her time, people would come out and sing and enjoy Christmas. Later, Jake and Sarah buy some gifts. Sarah would speak ill of Hannah whenever she got a chance, as Jake was busy solving Hannah's case. Later, when Jake meets Hannah, she thanks him for letting her stay at her house, as she had no family and her husband had died. To lighten Hannah's mood, Jake dances with her, and just then, Sarah, Louise, and Louise's mother arrive. After a while, Jake goes to his mother and tells her that he was just dancing with Hannah to lighten her mood. In return, his mother says that Jake should apologize to Sarah, not her, because his actions hurt her. The next day at the office, Sarah argues with Jake because she feels he and Hannah are getting too close, and this makes Sarah jealous, which is understandable. But Jake explains that it's nothing like that. He's just trying to solve the case. At night, Hannah, along with Jake's family, goes out carol singing and invites their neighbors from door to door. Then, Hannah spots the house where she dropped off a dog and time traveled that night. She tells Jake about it. Louise then shows Hannah a memorial wall with the names of all the soldiers who died in World War II. These soldiers were all from their town. However, Hannah doesn't see her husband's name on the wall. Sarah believes Hannah has been telling lies ever since she arrived. Her husband's name isn't even on the memorial wall. In return, Jake reveals that he found a perfume bottle in Hannah's purse that dates back to 1945 and that the perfume ceased production after 1960. Later that night, Hannah finds a key in her clothes. The next day, Hannah tells everyone that she has the key to a compartment containing Christmas decorations, so they don't need to bring Christmas lights. Next, Hannah goes to the library, where her former home used to be. There, she discovers a secret compartment, which, upon entering, reveals the Christmas decorations. Cook arrives and expresses his delight at seeing Hannah. He takes them to his house and reveals that he is actually Toby, and that Hannah used to tell him stories in 1945. Cook then gives Hannah back the camera she forgot with Toby in 1945. They also visit Dottie, who is overjoyed to see Hannah. Now everyone is convinced that Hannah was telling the truth. So they send Hannah to the shed because the comet that passed by Earth in 1945 is about to pass by again today. Hannah returns to her present timeline, where Jake apologizes to Sarah for hurting her. They all sing Christmas songs, and the movie ends here.